Dear learners, I am Dr. Gyanendra Tiwari, Associate Professor, MIT Institute of Education, MIT Institute Uttar Pradesh, Noida. And today we will discuss about insight learning theory, that is a part of Gestalt psychology and included in the course of B.Ed, namely learning and teaching. The learning outcome of this presentation is that learners will be able to demonstrate knowledge and understanding of basic concepts related to Gestalt theory. They can utilize Gestalt principle of organization to explain the insight theory. They will demonstrate knowledge about experiment of insight learning theory and explain its role in the development of the theory. They will be able to demonstrate knowledge and understanding about essentials of learning and laws of insight formation, and they will be able to utilize the theory to explain its implication for teachers, learners, and learning process. So today we will discuss a different concept, laws, principle, experiment related to this insight learning theory. And we will start with the meaning of the term Gestalt. Gestalt is a German term, and you will be surprised to know that we don't have any translation of Gestalt in English. So it is better to understand the term, the meaning of the term. And the meaning of Gestalt is an organized whole, total pattern or configuration. So Gestalt psychologists consider learning as a process that has organized whole, and learning don't occur in parts according to Gestalt psychologist. Insight learning theory is proposed by Gestalt psychologist. It was founded by German psychologist who eventually settled in America, and I will take 4 important names who contributed most of the part in this learning theory. And the first one is Max Wertheimer. So Max Wertheimer is generally considered to be founding father of Gestalt psychology. Second is Kurt Kofka. Third is Wolfgang Kohler, and fourth is Kurt Lewin. But the most of the contribution is of Wertheimer and Kohler. I think you all must be aware about the experiments done by Kohler and its contribution to developing this theory. So before we start to understand this theory, we must have a good understanding of the basic concept behind this theory. So what is the basic thing? The first thing is the whole. What is the meaning of whole? As we all know, whole is consist of many parts. But in this theory, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. It's not like mathematical sum. Parts are meaningful, but they are not substitution of whole. So this is the basic idea. One more thing is very important, that how these parts are organized to understand the concept as a whole. So organization is attempted by mind, and it is dynamic. The different parts are perceived and gives the idea of whole. Now when you perceive the whole, the next step is to find out the relationship between the parts and to judge that what is the relationship between these parts. And when perceived relations are final, then one has to make decision and accordingly act. So as I mentioned, the basic idea behind the insight learning theory is to treat it as a whole, not in parts. For example, if I have a pen, so I have to understand the pen as a whole. It may have different parts, it has cap, it has refill, it has its body. But according to these psychologists, this whole is greater than its part. So you have to remember this, that whole is always greater than its part. Second thing, that there is a relationship between all the parts. So organization of these parts is very important, and for this one has to understand that what is the relationship between these parts. So you have to judge the relationship and make the decision accordingly. For example, I have this pen has a cap and it is a part, it is its part. I have one more pen and it also has a cap. So we have both cap, but this cap is related to this pen, whereas this cap is related to this pen. So as a learner, I have to understand that which part is related to which one, and accordingly I have to make decision and act accordingly. So this is the basic idea behind the insight learning theory. So when one wants to organize the parts as a whole, there are certain principles given by Wertheimer, and the first one is continuity. For example, you can take example of a snake that is hidden in the branches of any tree, but when one he or she knows that the snake exists and the part that is not visible is also there. So this is one example of understanding the parts as a whole. Second principle is of proximity. When things kept together, we treat them as a whole. So if certain things are placed somewhere and there is a grouping of 3 each, then we treat that 3 as one, as a whole. Now the next principle is of similarity. It means that when you place different things, it is a tendency of a human being to group similar things in one group. Another principle is of closure. Sometimes you may have seen different figures that are incomplete, but you can easily understand that what this figure is. Sometimes you may have puzzles where you have to just add the dots to make that figure, but sometimes without having any line, any boundary, you will be able to understand that figure. Next is figure ground. So it is example that sometimes you may have different puzzles or figure puzzles or optical illusions or visual illusions where you find different animals in a single drawing, and it was asked to you to just find out those animals. So it is the perspective. Sometimes you see different animals, and when you go to background you see something else. So this is also one of the principles of organizing the whole. Then there is a principle of symmetry. Symmetrical things are kept together, and one of the principle is common fate. So when someone moves in a group, you treat them as a whole. For example, if soldiers are moving in a parade, you take them as a whole. So these are the certain principles of Gestalt psychology that helps us to understand that how we can treat parts as a whole. As I mentioned in the beginning, one of the most important contribution to this theory is done by Kohler. Kohler has done certain experiments that are mentioned in his book Mentality of Apes, published in 1925. So the experiment can be categorized in 2 groups. One, experiment with box, that has 2 types of experiment with certain variations, and experiment with sticks, that also has two types of experiment with certain variations. So we will start with the experiment with box. Kohler kept a monkey named Sultan hungry for some time and then shut him in a large cage. He hung bananas from the ceiling and kept a box on the floor of the cage. The monkey could not reach the banana. Another box was put in the corner of the cage, but Sultan could not get the idea of placing one box on the other and thus reaching the bananas. Then Kohler gave demonstration of putting one box on the other, and Sultan could now learn the whole situation. He used his capacity or intelligence or insight to put two boxes one upon another, stand on these, and then reach the bananas. So this is one of the important experiment. Another experiment I mentioned is experiment with sticks. So in this experiment, Kohler kept two sticks in the cage. One end of the shorter sticks could be fitted with the one end of the longer sticks, so as to make them longer. Uh, in the beginning, the monkey did not get the idea of forming two sticks through trial and error. Then Kohler gave a hint through putting his finger in the hole of the bigger stick. The monkey viewed the whole situation and performed the right task through understanding the insight. So these experiments provide basis of insight learning theory. There are certain criteria for learning by insight, and some of them are comprehension as a whole. So it requires full comprehension of the situation as a whole. Then the goal must be quite clear to begin with. Then a learner must have power of generalization along those of differentiation. One more important thing is hallmark of learning by insight, that is suddenness of the situation. So sometimes solution flashes suddenly to the learner. This is called aha moment. And as a result of insight into the situation, object appear in new form and pattern. One more important essential is transfer of learning happens due to the insight. That is, one can generalize the principle learned in one situation may be applied to other situation. And one more important thing is that insight changes the behavior to the extent which have learned through the insight. So these are the important essentials of learning by insight. There are certain laws of insight formation. It is not that everyone has equal ability of developing the insight. So what are those factors or laws that affects the insight formation? The first one is capacity or intelligence. So it depends on the intelligence of the organism. Individuals differ in their capacity. So the more developed or more intelligent individual will have more capacity to develop insight. Then experience is also important. So what is the previous experience of the learner? It is very important. A child of 5 years can't develop mathematical insight because he or she hasn't done sufficient practice on it. Then situation is also very important. So it develops, insight develops based on the situation provided to the learner. Then initial efforts of the learner. So what kind of fumbling and search the learner is doing, it is also important factor in developing the insight. Then a repetition and generalization is very important because these solutions can be repeated and can be used in new situation also. And one of the most important law is that always the experience of insight is wholesome, and whole is not, as I mentioned in the beginning, it is not just equal to its part. So I think that you are able to understand the concept of insight learning theory, but there is a very important question, that what is the implication of insight learning theory? So the basic implication for teacher is it is very important to understand that a teacher should try to integrate the whole curriculum. There must be correlation between the various subjects, and the whole problem is to be presented in the class. For example, if a teacher want to explain the concept of balanced diet, so each and every part of the diet should be presented to give a complete insight into the learning material, and then treat the child as a whole. It is not that only a single act will decide the child behavior. Importance of motivation is very much in this theory. So the teacher should motivate the student properly for insightful learning. And as I mentioned, the transfer of learning is also an important component in this theory. So the teacher should encourage the students to make the best use of transfer of learning, and intelligent learning should be emphasized. There are no useless and random effects. The teacher should encourage the student to learn by understanding and intelligence. It also involves the development of higher mental faculties. So the teacher has to review the situation as a whole and then decide the line of action. And problem solving approach is one that is very important in this type of learning. So the teacher should prepare children emotionally and intellectually to solve the problem. This theory is very useful in teaching learning different difficult subjects like science, mathematics, literature, and it is very useful for scientific invention and discoveries. One more important thing is that a teacher must keep in mind the individual differences that actually occurs, and the way of teaching will differ from learner to learner. So, and one more important thing, that the teacher should present his or her lesson very logically. For example, he should proceed from simple to complex, concrete to abstract, empirical to rational, and psychological to logical. And from teacher point of view, it is also very important to make persistent efforts. So because insight doesn't develop in learner immediately, it needs persistent efforts. The approach of the teacher should be goal oriented, and one of the most important thing, that multiple approach should be used in every aspect of the teaching learning process. So there are many educational implications. As I mentioned, it is to proceed from whole to the part is very important, and motivation is most important factor. So motivation must be created. For example, in the experiment of Kohler, the banana acts as a motivation. So, and one more thing is that emphasis should be on understanding, not only just promoting rote memory. It should be focused on understanding, and one must use interdisciplinary approach for learning, and the intelligent task should be given. It is not that a routine task should be given. The teacher or the system should try to give them intelligent tasks. So as everyone knows that every theory has certain limitations, so the same is the case with this insight learning theory. One thing is very important, that small children and dull children can't learn easily with this way of learning. So because they prefer to learn more from trial and error. And one thing is also important, you can't deny the use of trial and error method in this theory also, because insight is the final stage of the trial and error, and complex problem may be beyond normal understanding and insight. So these are certain limitations with the insight learning theory. Thank you very much.